Are we live? What's going on?
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Ready, I'm master amongst hammers, sages, the king of the ring himself. But your boy Thinking Smalls, Gerard Michaels.
Check.
Well done.
Here we go.
Beautiful.
3, 2, and doing podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's another Monday here at Beautiful Gas, dude. It's beautiful Gas South here in Podcast Junkie Studio. It's your boy,
We're doing podcast.
Gerard Michaels, Thicky Smalls himself, the funniest man you never heard of. And to my right, standing up, hovering above us at 6'3", 200 pounds, and every one of them is a problem. The master of punks, the tamer of sages.
You already know who it is.
The king
star
of the ring
show.
himself, the CEO of the RNC, pretty Mickey Gall. What's up, Mick?
Yeah. What up, Big G?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Let me look at myself. There he is. What's up, baby?
That was a flex. That was a reach and a flex. And
What's up, baby?
And 2 hours left. A very, very, very special guest of ours today.
Hell yeah.
A true war hero himself, Christian Staff Sergeant, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it Christian Gray?
That's right. Yep.
Christian Gray, Staff Sergeant Christian Gray.
Welcome, brother.
A bronze medal recipient. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
I'm doing great. So I
Welcome,
understand.
man.
Thank you
Hey,
much.
I
Thank
always
you very much,
say, man, the people who serve, like you guys are the real badasses. People always come up to me and are like, yo, you're so fucking badass to do this. But yo, mine's a sport. Probably gonna be all right. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, man.
You guys are the real badasses.
I
Really
appreciate
landing
it,
on the line. Yeah, much respect, brother. Hell
Well,
yeah.
let's
You
get-
guys, thank you very much for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Let's
Thank
get
you.
right into it, all right? If you drop Mickey Gall and Christian Gray in a jungle, which one of them's coming out? Let's just get right
In a
to it.
goddamn jungle, dude. Holy shit.
Who's getting dropped?
We both are.
Oh,
We're
100%, dude.
we
I'll
would
back you up, dude. I'd back you up.
join
Oh, you're
forces.
joining forces.
Yeah.
100%.
Ah, nice. Diplomacy.
That's
I
the
like it. Diplomacy.
Dude, you're fucked on
we're-
your own.
we're gonna
dude.
be
in the
eating.
jungle, done. On your own.
Yeah?
Fuck that noise.
So you were deployed in Afghanistan?
That's correct,
right?
yeah.
Where else were you deployed?
Specific combat deployment was Afghanistan.
I'd
only.
probably.
Go ahead.
Is my mic working right? I don't think so. That sounds like shit. Sounds terrible. You guys can't hear it. I don't hear it in my headphones.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you hear me?
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, my headphones are out. But I was interrupting to say I'd be fine in the jungle. Obviously. Yeah.
How
How do you figure?
Yeah.
Because I'd quickly be able to analyze and assess all the poisonous things.
Yeah.
I'd watch my feet. I'd watch my steps. I'd be
Oh, shit.
I'd be cool.
Dude.
I'd be cool. But you're right. Most people would be totally
Just
fine.
to get you caught up on past episodes, we've tried to ascertain what animal Mickey couldn't take one-on-one, and
We're not sure yet.
We've yet to find one that he doesn't think he could take one-on-one.
I hear G
Alligator,
loud as fuck now.
alligator, one-on-one.
Fuck.
I gotta get behind
An
it.
anaconda, you'd be fucked. Alligator, 100% done.
I'm a human.
be done, right?
I'm a human anaconda. What are you talking? You just
No,
don't
fair
know
enough,
me
man.
that well.
Fair
You don't
enough.
know me that
No.
well. That's all right. That's
I've
all
seen
right.
some of your videos, dude. 100% human anaconda. I'll give you that. But a real anaconda, holy
man.
smokes, bro. That's next
Yeah,
level,
no,
dude.
they're tough. But good thing I have like arms and legs and all this stuff. Like I'd be good.
shit.
Yeah,
I got
just
my-
ask John Voight.
I got my human brain.
My human brain.
I'd outflank them. I'd like put like a rock. I'd be like, "What's this over here?" Boom.
Dude, I was just actually talking about that with some of my buddies, man. We were talking about like how motherfuckers used to kill mammoths and all this wazoo stuff, man. But
Yeah.
it would literally take a group of individuals to make that happen. Because one-on-one, we were looking at a fucking video of these two bears fighting each other, just like absolute savages, man. And there was an actual a poll that came out that it was like 20% or 10% of men think that they could beat up a fucking bear.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what?
Well,
no
the
freaking
poll-
way. dude.
It's crazy. And plus, when the bear is whacking another bear, like a bear can take that impact. If it's
Yeah,
a human, I think he's
100%. You're
getting
done,
flung
dude.
and torn to pieces. Like,
What's funny
Without a
about
doubt,
that? I
dude.
saw
Without a
that study too. What's funny about that is it's like 10% of like UK men think they could take a bear, but like 25% of American men think
yeah,
they can take
naturally,
a bear. And then they get like real specific into it. They're like, "What kind of bear? Is it a black bear? Brown bear? I'll fuck a brown bear up. Polar bear, you're in trouble.
Polar bear, you're done.
Polar bear, you're in
Yeah, you're
trouble.
fucking done, dude.
That's like one of those
Get them
old. I
camera
forget.
switching.
It's an old comedian joke when. When someone comes up and they're like, "My child's gifted," they're like, "Yeah, your kid's 3 and he can walk. That's great. A bear by 3 knows jujitsu. Like a bear can climb a tree, do a
is
backflip, and bite your head off before it lands.
Yeah,
that's a true
that's
gift.
that's an interesting David Adiv saying too. Like he's like, if the aliens came down here and were to look at like who's in charge, right? Just based on like when we're born, like a human. Hey, we hear you guys big time over there. when like a human, a baby, like we have to be like taken care of until we're like what, like 10, basically, like really probably
longer than that.
8. You know what I mean? You could probably go out and survive.
Liberal babies are still needing to be taken care of at 30, 40 years old.
Right, exactly.
That's a very good point.
But now you got like
You're absolutely right.
You got like cows. You know, they're born and they have to like, you know, suck on their mom's tits and like hang out and like, you know, kind of stick with the pack. But then look,
There's a point eventually, I promise you.
Here it comes. But a cockroach born on its own.
Yeah.
Do everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird.
They're really like we and like even though we're the ones able to manipulate our environment and do a whole bunch of shit, like they're the ones who are like capable with set up with all their shit right from the jump. But that was because you were talking about instincts. Like a tiger knows how to fight. You don't have to teach a tiger or a lion how to fight. But like humans, like we have to learn. Like you have to be specially trained how to, you know, to do your operatives, and like me, like I have to learn like the techniques of fighting. Like there's a lot that humans have to learn, but we're so capable and so adaptable. That's what makes us so
there's
special.
a lot to say about even with animals though. Like play is huge. Like
Right.
when they're fucking playing, like tigers when they play with their cubs and all that stuff. Man,
Yeah.
that's a whole. That's how they learn how to hunt. It's like
Dogs.
Yep, same. My dogs, the way that they fucking interact with each other. They're
Yeah.
just like gnawing at each other's freaking necks, like tackling each other, running around,
Yeah.
sprinting. I mean, so yes, I agree with you in that like humans certainly, especially when it comes to hunting other humans, that's a whole different factor. That's learned, trained. But animals, to a certain degree, I think they also have to go through that themselves, man. I mean, at some point they have to kind of fend for themselves, right? So at what point do you get to that?
Alan Watts.
Quicker than us.
I agree.
Animals, way
100%,
quicker than us,
100%,
you know?
Yeah, the famous British philosopher Alan Watts has a very big play is his major philosophy. Is essentially all things in life you do should be play. Through play, you have the creativity to learn and all those other things, and that's a very interesting, you know, concept of like learning through that kind of playful environment. Playing in life is like one of these things where when you're playing too much, you know, the powers that be or the authorities are like, you're not taking yourself seriously. But
Right.
his whole thing is like, that is the most serious thing you could do. Through
Yeah.
playing is where growth comes. That's, you know, that kind of thing. The other part of it becomes...
I swear there's a point coming. There's going to be a point.
that was the point. That was the point.
got it.
Alan Watts.
I got you.
I know, but you said it about me earlier, fucking dickhead.
It's coming.
I'm still waiting to be wowed by this, but keep going.
Well, if you knew who Alan Watts was...
I
you'd
know
believe
exactly who he is, and he loves play, obviously.
So the other part becomes Neuralink, the technology. Like there's this idea that all of this instinctual stuff is imprinted in our DNA, and that you're not actually learning these new things. You're uncovering that knowledge that's in the DNA already. You're like exposing it more than learning it, and that's where this idea of like Neuralink, or you know, having like AI get hooked into the body, that kind of like cybernetics that they're starting to work towards, is the, you know, it's almost like that Matrix idea where it's like, all right, everybody who's ever fought ever in your life, in your family's genealogy, has passed along that DNA to you. Could you, you've never made a bow or an arrow in your life, but somebody along the line probably has. So it's in that DNA coding somewhere. Huh?
I have too.
You've made a bow and arrow.
Yeah, whenever I had to take wood shop, I would just make weapons the whole time. That was all I would do.
I respect that. that.
On the topic of Neuralink, you know how they just approved it for FDA human trials?
Yeah.
Would you do it?
We've talked about this a couple times. I don't think I would be the first one, but I think after like a few human trials went through, I'd be very interested in it. Yeah, I'd be very interested in it.
It's wild, man. Yeah, I don't think I could, man. Like,
Yeah.
it just reminds me of sort of like a whole like altered carbon sort of scenario.
Totally, you know, and you do it knowing the whole time, like, you know, that they have access to your brain at any moment, whether they want to take the information out or put information in or control you. I mean, that's, you know.
Could you
but
make the
also-
argument that that's already the case, though?
Well, listen, I know I'm being listened to everything I say, and I love this thing. I'm fucking addicted to this thing. Are you kidding me? You put this thing in my brain, and I can, like, you know, I mean, just the idea, like, some of the Neuralink things are incredible. The knowledge, the speed, but also the idea of, like, all right, knowing my body is low on iron right now. I need to eat something that's, you know, that has more iron.
Dates have good iron, and they're delicious.
Is that
You're
right?
welcome. Yeah.
I didn't know they had good
Okay.
iron. That's pretty
I
good.
don't think my body's low on iron. I'm just using it like.
All right. Well, if you are low on iron,
This
have
is
a
what I'm
date.
tuning
And
in.
honestly,
The more
just,
you know.
just have a date anyway. I'm still never on camera. But hey, guys, guess what I brought for everyone? I brought some Killcliff energy drinks.
Hey,
That's a
Awesome.
vet-owned, nice snag.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you.
hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah. And I got
love
an
Killcliff.
extra for everyone.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
You know what? I love Killcliff with a battle bar. Those are two of my
Yeah.
favorite things. I like to eat a battle bar and drink a Killcliff.
Yeah. They're pretty freaking good.
So you talked about hunting humans before.
Yeah. Tell us more about that. That piqued my interest.
Ooh, what about it?
Well, you said it casually, and that scared me. Just casually, we're like, yeah, it's like, you know, it's different when you're hunting humans. I've personally never hunted a human. Have you hunted a human?
Yes.
After
there is
wood
quite-
shop? After wood shop?
Exactly. Yeah.
I would say
What
fighting is-
period? What period they at? But yeah, it is kind of like
100%,
hunting,
man.
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the way that you were talking about, hey, I have my human mind when you were talking about the anaconda.
Yeah.
I have my human mind, and I have my human mind, right? So
Yeah.
in a certain environment, like how, if I, let's say, you know, we were in a scenario where I'm hunting you or you're hunting me, how exactly would that play out, right? You're maneuvering, you're doing your own thing, you're trying to figure out how you can gain superiority on me. I'm trying to figure out how I can gain superiority on you.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, it's only one of us coming out of there, right?
Right.
So how do you set yourself up for success? How do you set yourself up for, I mean, there is no respawning, there is no second chance, right? So I feel like the stakes are infinitely higher when you're hunting
The
humans.
highest.
You don't know that. You don't know that there's no respawning.
I don't. You're right.
You don't
You're
know
right.
that.
You're right. But I'm not trying to find out either.
Yeah, that's true. Just on the chance that there is no respawn. Let's just take this one really seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you get like a supply drop? How accurate is Call of Duty to real life? Was that basically what Afghanistan was like? Were you like a camper? Were
You know,
just-
I will say there are a lot of comparisons that are very similar. But things like, oh, if you get this many kills, you get an Apache. No.
No? Well, Mickey just sent me something. Mickey just sent me something yesterday. What was that thing you sent
Thought I was
me?
gonna get an Apache, man.
Oh, well, you might. What's that thing you just sent me?
So in the new GTA,
Okay.
that's Grand Theft Auto. It's like Grand Theft Auto 6. If you whatever money and shit you earn there, you can like take out in real life or something.
So
I just
people-
read
No
a
shit.
thing on
What?
it. We don't know. I don't know what for sure. I sent it to
That's
him though.
wild.
That's what the thing said. So we'll see.
would be freaking
It's like
nuts,
people are
dude.
like thinking like this could be
Making bank.
a new side hustle.
Yeah.
Playing GTA. You
just
know what I mean?
murking people, hunting
Yeah.
humans,
Yep,
hunting
that's it.
humans,
Yeah.
but digitally, so
without,
it's okay.
Without
it's
the
okay.
stakes.
That's all right.
Without
okay.
the
100%.
stakes.
100%.
So tell us about young Christian. Who were you when you were growing up? What
right,
made
yeah.
you go into the service?
Dude, so looking back, I would say the first time I remember wanting to go into the service was probably around middle school time frame, man. I was like, this game, I don't know if you guys probably remember it, SOCOM US Navy SEALs that had just come out.
Heard of it.
Yeah. So played this for a while. It was one of the first games that actually came out to like online, this, that, the other. And by the way, I think that the military's like advertising campaign in video games is absolutely brilliant. Like you get little
Oh,
kids
for sure.
freaking hooked on
It's
it right
propaganda.
off the bat. Yeah, for
It's
sure.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, 100%. Man. And I just think remember I was like, I can do that. I can fucking do that. But obviously, when you're like a sixth grader or fucking seventh grader, you're not actually like realizing everything that it takes to become that, right? So time went on, et cetera. I went to high school. It was a small private school in Boston. It's called Boston Trinity Academy.
You from Boston?
Yeah, I grew up in Boston, man.
What
part? Revere, specifically.
All right,
Revere and Chelsea.
Revere.
Yeah.
Revere.
Hell yeah,
I
bro.
always go by Revere Beach. Yeah.
Hey, you been through Revere? All right.
Yeah,
hell
I got
man.
family up there, so
Gotcha,
yeah, I
yeah,
always
it's
every
fucking
time
great,
going in, they're on the North Shore,
Yep.
so I'd like
exactly, bro.
go right through there. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I fucking love Boston. Would never go back. Just the blizzards are way too fucking much.
Where's the fucking accent?
Dude, the military took it away from me, man.
The military?
Man, you
They
travel,
just wiped you clean?
Wiped it clean, bro.
Jeez.
No, man, you just travel everywhere and just
can't be hunting humans talking like, come on, dude, fucking, where's the cab, bro?
Yeah. Wicked
Immediately
fucking
fucking spot you, man. Don't know exactly where you're from. They
Wicked
get your
snipe
family.
kid.
Nah. Yeah, man.
Gonna get fucking shot at here, dude. Fuck,
Yeah.
it's fucking scary here, no? Fucking Afghanistan.
It's fucking, that's a fucking friendly fire waiting to happen. No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like, oh man, hey, Tommy from fucking Worcester. You ever heard of Pat Tillman?
Oh shit. Dark. I like it.
So you apparently
that was an evil laugh. G. That was an evil statement followed up by an evil laugh.
I love Pat
You're
Tillman.
an evil man.
I love
Yo,
Pat
he's a
Tillman.
fucking hero. Hell yeah. You
He
should
is,
better
man.
love Pat Tillman.
I love Pat Tillman, but I also hate the fucking government that's something there. Anyway, speaking of, you worked for said government.
I did. You're not wrong, man. So eventually I ended up going to college. I studied health science, human physiology, and I was going to commission actually as an officer. And I decided, you know what, I don't really want to do that. I want to go the enlisted route because what I want to do is focus on medicine, which was super, I don't want to say controversial, but it was certainly like a big decision because I already had something that I could do, and now I'm risking like losing that for trying out for special forces, which is it's a dice roll, 100% dice roll. The attrition rate to get in is very, 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 very high, right? So that's a whole pipeline in and of itself, man. So I did what's called a conditional release from the National Guard to go active duty under the pretty much an 18 X-ray contract as a Special Forces candidate. All right, so first thing you do is go to infantry school. Did that. It's called one station unit training.
What's infantry school like? Is it like what you see in like boot camp and guys yelling at you and everything like that?
I have a quick question.
Yes. What's up?
So you say special forces.
Yes.
So is that like Army Special Forces?
Correct. So every branch has
Because
its own sort of-
there's the SEALs, there's the Army Rangers.
Yep.
What are those all special forces?
So there's two distinctions to make. There's Special Operations Forces, Operations, which is kind of all-encompassing, if you will. So Special Operations Forces will include Ranger Battalion. That'll include Delta Force. That'll include all those guys. So that's Special Operations, right? Special Forces.
Who else is included in Special Operations?
Would that be a Green Beret? Is Green Beret?
Green Barret is Special Forces, so that's what I was.
Okay.
Yeah. So Special Operations Forces, like I said, that's kind of the overarching, if you will, umbrella of all things Special Operations. So any branch, any unit that falls under the Special Operations component is that SOF, SOF, right?
Okay.
So specifically in the Army, you pretty much have Ranger Battalion, who conducts a lot more direct action. You have different tiers in the Army. You have like tier 1 and tier 2. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that expression, but you have...
Assume our audience hasn't.
Okay, got you. So you have tier 1, tier 2. Tier 1 it's all really about budgeting and like the type of mission that you run. So tier 1 operator is going to be like your Delta Force guys. Your Ranger Battalion guys, those guys are going to usually attach with them. They can also act autonomously, but they also fall under certain permissions, if you will. So those guys primarily do a lot of direct action.
Permissions?
Yes, permission. So like,
Meaning what?
That is to say, if you go to a certain country and your mission is a certain thing, you fall under certain permissions. That is things that you're allowed to do in said country. Yes,
Got it.
Correct. And that's right. So that's your tier 1. Then you have your tier 2 guys, which again, budgeting wise is all that really means is how much money you get allocated and what things you could do in different places, right? So Special Forces, Army Special Forces falls, depending on what you're doing, under that tier 2 budgeting system.
Wait. So just to go back to what you said, there's permissions from the American government or the other. So like if you are, because like I imagine if you're going into a country and the country's like, murder's illegal here, and
correct.
the American government's like, not for our guys.
Right,
Is that kind of what we're doing here?
Yeah, so it's permissions from the American government, what you're allowed to do, the type of missions that you're allowed to take on in those countries. Correct.
It's kind of badass. It's like, hey, your laws, cool, bud. We got laws for these guys.
Yes.
And don't be on that list.
Exactly.
How would you rank them? Could you rank the, is it Rangers, SEALs, Delta Force? Like where, give me a ranking.
I would say the top is going to be your JSOC guys. That's Joint Special Operations Command, right? That's where pretty much all the dudes from like the tier 1 go there. Okay. After that, that's when you have your tier 2 operators. That's where your Special Forces are. That's where Navy SEALs are. That's where your PJs, your pararescue jump guys from the Air Force. That's where they're all at. And then the only reason why I would put Ranger Battalion third is because it's very rare for them to act autonomously. In today's day and age, at least, well, in Afghanistan rather, they've been attached with Delta operators for a long time. So they do one mission very well. That's direct action and cordoning or security for Delta Force. So they're literally freaking, hey, your job is to take that objective, take the objective, boom. All right, now pull security, Delta Force is going to go do their thing. They have no idea what the fuck is going on in there. All right. So, but
Who was number 1 again? You said
the JSOC guy. So that's like
JSOC?
JSOC. JSOC. Yeah.
SOC.
Yep. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where your Delta operators.
Joint Special Operations Command.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with them. I'm familiar with like Delta and Rangers.
So they all
and
fall
SEALs
under JSOC. So yeah, it's a whole fucking branch, dude. Yeah.
But no, this is very interesting to me. So and I'm sure to our fans as well. So
Sure,
feel free to explain
so,
away, man.
So JSOC, pretty much under that umbrella is where like your Delta Force guys are, the DevGru, development development group. That's sort of like
Is Delta Force, just so I'm clear, Delta Force, is that a specific branch of military?
No. So it's a specific unit within the Army.
Okay.
Yes. So it's very convoluted when it comes to like that whole thing. But essentially, the way that works is, for example, a lot of my buddies. Well, not, I wouldn't say a lot of them, but I have buddies of mine who have tried out for Delta Force. So that's sort of the next step up, if you will.
So
like,
you're a Ranger, then you want to become Delta Force.
correct. So if you're a Ranger,
Okay,
you can go Delta Force. If you're a Special Forces guy, you can go Delta Force. That's a whole separate selection process in and of itself. Ranger Battalion has their own selection process. Special Forces, we have our own selection process. If you want to go do something else, which is a Delta Force, that's a whole separate selection process, which is a motherfucker. Like that is next level.
I read once in Navy SEALs, and this maybe could be misremembering this, so forgive me, but I remember reading this and being like, that's crazy. That the acceptable, I guess the word would be attrition rate for a Navy SEAL in combat is 60-1. They anticipate 60 kills for every death. Is that?
I can see that. Absolutely.
That's insanity. So
Well,
for
I mean,
each asset,
especially in Afghanistan, man. Oh, dude, 100%, man. Like I would agree with that. Like you go out there, you freaking massacre people, especially towards the latter end of the war. Like when I was there, it was 2019 to 2020. The type of assets and capabilities that we were rolling up with was next level, man. Like, I mean, I was blessed to have had that opportunity, especially because like I went to Afghanistan immediately after the Q course. So I didn't have time to like go train with my team and do other stuff and kind of prep with them. It was my crucible, if you will, was you're going straight to Afghanistan right out of the Q course. Like, go do it.
Wow.
So when we're there, man, like we're rolling up. We had Apaches overhead on a regular basis. We would have UAVs overhead, armed UAVs, AC-130s, just every possible tech that you can ask for. It was there, man. From both a offensive perspective to medical was huge. We had FST right there. That's a forward surgical team right there, readily available. So Afghanistan was really, really, really well established at that point, man.
So two questions immediately come to mind if that's the case. One is, why didn't we win then? Right? Like if we had that far superior capabilities, why didn't we win? Right? That's question number one. And question number two, the follow-up is if you guys are out there laying waste to people like that with that far superior, have they been lying, do you think, in the media about the casualties that the people endured out there?
No, I don't think that they're lying. Okay, so we'll start with that second question. I don't think that the media is lying with the casualties that have been. It
seems lower than almost everybody I've talked to that was there. The casualty count that we get told in the media here seems lower than what.
Are you saying the American casualties?
Both.
Okay. I think American casualties are very, very accurate, primarily because there's a lot of logistics that go behind the scenes where you're informing family members, you're informing individuals. You have to let them know. So there is. I can't think of a single way wherein you would be able to hide or conceal or obfuscate those numbers. Now, when it comes to, let's say, civilian casualties or Afghan casualties, those numbers range significantly. The White House, depending on the administration, they'll have a certain number for you. But then if you look into DOD or if you look into, what are those, watch groups? They have very different numbers. And that's where things get very, very murky, very, very blurry.
And we're talking about magnitudes of 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about difference in 200,000 and a million people, like literally 100%. A million deaths.
100%.
Yeah, and in Iraq, I mean, that was one of the things the Bush administration was like, we're keeping civilian casualties to a minimum, and then 10 years later, like everybody's like, millions of people died.
Yeah.
Like, like when did that happen? When did we go, we were keeping casualties to a minimum until we that a million people, some would call that a genocide.
Yep.
I don't know. But anyway, now going back to the first question, you guys have that far tactical superiority. Yeah. It's almost like a Vietnam situation where it feels like you had to be informed not to win, to not just steamroll the country.
I think we were at war with an ideology, and it's very hard to fight an ideology with guns and planes and jets. You can't do that. Like, I mean, the fact of the matter is that the people of Afghanistan, they have their culture, they have their ideology, they have what they believe in, they have their sort of intrinsic way of life. I mean, this has been the case for hundreds of years now. I mean, the Russians were there, we were there. Like, there's been a myriad of countries that have been there and spent insane sums of money to try to change an ideology, because the fact of the matter is, like, democracy, the way that we see it here in the United States, I think that's very innate to the Western culture. How do you take that and by brute force, enforce that into or change an entire country. You can't. You really can't. And the fact of the matter is, it's the military's Leviathan force, right? That's what we are. Like the military is this sort of Leviathan force that we can have all our tentacles in multiple different countries, and we're really, 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 really good at killing things, destroying things, and breaking things. But what we're not good at is changing people's minds. Like, how do you convince an entire population to just be different? I don't know how you do it, man.
Yeah.
And they've tried. Like, psychological operations is a thing.
I don't know if they care. I don't know if they care to. If we want to get real here for a minute, I don't know if they care to. I think that there's so much money to be made in the destruction.
Oh, 100%.
And then once there's destruction, there's so much
100%.
money to be made in the rebuild.
Yes. Yep.
You know, I mean, the people that if there's anything the last 3 years taught us, and then Mick, I'll get your opinion on this, is that the last 3 years have really showed us that the people that create the disease are the people that sell the cure.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, if you're talking to Halliburton, you're talking to BlackRock, you're talking about people that spend, millions of dollars in lobbying to get tens of millions of dollars in government contracts to then go destroy, have a proxy war with Russia over this rock land, and then they get the contracts to rebuild what they've destroyed. Why would this ever end?
It wouldn't. And I think Russell Brand made that point really well recently. I think he was with Joe Rogan. He talked about something very similar. He was like, we cannot have an economy or a society that thrives on crises.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what
I
we
heard
have
that
recently.
exact same thing. I think I sent that shit to you.
Yeah,
I
man.
like Russell Brand. I fuck with him. I like what he's talking about right
he's
now.
He's changed a lot, too. He used to be super, super lib. Like, and all of a sudden, he's like making all these conservative points.
Has he changed? Me and Mick talk about this off air a lot.
Yeah.
Has he actually changed, or has the zeitgeist sprinted so far in one direction that people that were center left are now seen as center right? Have those people actually? Is Bill Maher a soft conservative now, or has the culture gone so crazy to the left that now reasonable center right, center left people are seen as this right wing? I mean, there was a whole thing I just saw where Russell Brand was talking to Joe Rogan about how gym culture is seen as right wing. If you work out, you're a right wing extremist, and it's like, I don't think you guys are making the point you think you're making here. You're making people feel like, man, this right-wing stuff's pretty cool, man. I don't think when you call everyone a Nazi, and it's like, man, my baseball coach is a Nazi? Like, I don't think worse about my baseball coach. I start thinking like, maybe these Nazis are all right. Like, you're not making the point you think you're making, guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what they do, though. I feel like they shift the Overton window on a regular basis. And
The Overton window.
Yeah,
nice. We can bring that up. Don't be afraid.
You just made Gerard come in his pants right now.
Nice. Let's talk about it. Let's do a little horseshoe theory while we're here, man.
I saw a mini clip about your horseshoe theory.
While
That's
he's-
the shit, dude.
bro.
While he's pulling it up and you guys are jerking each other off, let's talk about our live show since this is going on live real quick. All right. Slick and Thick's got a live show in New Jersey at the Stress Factory, June 8th, 7 p.m. Listen, we've been working really hard. We pulled out all the fucking stops for this one. Be there or be square. Listen, my name's Mickey Gall, and if you don't show up, fuck you. You fucked up. You fucked up. All right? You fucked up. I'm telling you, you're going to miss out on all the surprise guests. We got some surprise celebrity guests.
We do.
Hey, I didn't bust my ass for nothing. I've made sure this is going to be like a fucking party, and you're going to miss out on the party if you don't come. So I hope you come and make it. That's June 8th. At the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, New Jersey, 7 p.m.
Yeah, I don't want to be dramatic or anything like that, but if you live in Jersey and you don't come to this, you are fucking dead to me.
Yeah,
Dead.
straight up.
Dead
Yeah.
to me. Don't lose
And
my number.
honestly,
Don't call me.
you should be dead to yourself because you just missed out on the best night of your
It's
life.
gonna be
probably.
It's gonna
Like,
be so good. Honestly, like if you're hearing this and you haven't bought tickets, good luck. I think we're pretty much almost sold out. But,
pretty much, yeah. But I was like, hey, I want everyone to be able to get in. If we got to put fucking seats in the rafters, we'll do it.
Seats in the rafters.
All right.
Standing room
only. If you know what I mean, maybe stand in the back. You know, you get your little drink on. You'll get your little wobble on. You'll be having a good time.
We have some exciting. We'll tell you off air. We have some exciting.
It's cool
things.
shit. Like we've
really
stuff. Pulled out the stops
Yeah.
to make sure this is gonna be a cool ass thing. So
That'll be dope, man.
wish you were in Jersey, dog. Sorry
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
missing out.
Likewise. Hey, well,
Sorry you're missing out.
for all the veterans out there in Jersey, go see these guys.
Hell yeah,
my
man.
man,
Tell
my
them. That's
man.
what. Yeah.
Fucking do it.
By the way, Killcliff, veteran owned.
Hell yeah.
This is legitimately delicious.
Delicious.
Yeah.
This is really good, man. Good stuff, Killcliff.
Yeah, good folks.
Yeah, good peoples.
Good peoples.
Mickey fights at Kill Cliff FC over here. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
man.
a tight gym, man. A lot of studs. Yeah, probably the best gym in the world. Like talent wise, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
That's awesome.
We have like over 30 UFC fighters on the mats. It's the only gym in the world that could say that. Wow. Maybe American Top Team, which is like right down the road, but that's it.
That's Miami for you, man. Just a magnet for talent.
For sure. Yeah, South Florida's a hotbed for sure.
That's
So
awesome.
tell us, you know, I want to get back into the tough questions, and I appreciate you sitting and answering these too. But you know, let's talk about the training a little bit. The Special Forces training is something that I think is intrigued a lot of people as CrossFit's gotten big over the last few years, as Jiu-Jitsu and MMA have exploded onto the scene.
Yeah.
You know, Jocko is the legend that he is. You have David Goggins. You have all these guys who have gone through these Special Forces, you know, trainings and mentalities. What do you think about Special Forces training separates it from everything else? What makes it the elite of the elite?
I think it's by far one of the most rigorous. It just breaks you down and builds you right back up, man. That's
mentally,
really
physically?
mentally and physically.
Really?
Yeah. So So I can kind of walk through the pipeline and generally how that kind of plays out, right? So going back, infantry school. Yes, you know, you got your drill sergeants, they're yelling at you. At least that was back in the day. It's got a little softer from what I hear, but you know, we'll see. Anyway, infantry
Soft drill sergeants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got rid of the shark attack. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the shark attack.
What's the shark attack?
The shark attack pretty much is when you roll up on the bus. You just got there. You're a fucking civilian. You're just scared and shit, and you don't know what the fuck to do. They would open the doors, and you'd run out, and you have these drill sergeants just fucking yelling in your face, man, just telling you, like, get the fuck over there, start fucking running, grab your bags, hold them over your head, all this crazy shit. It's just insanity. It feels like there is no order. It feels like there's no organization, and you're just fucking running, and you're just doing what they tell you to fucking do.
Man, I'm not built for it. I got a feeling I would just start laughing. I'd be like, what the fuck?
It depends.
Calm down.
If I would have done it now in my 30s, yeah, I'd probably be like, what the fuck is this? You know? But when you're like a impressionable 17, 18-year-old, which I think that's generally the crowd that they appeal to. And I think it's a smart thing for them to appeal to that. Or even something as, you know, because I went when I was probably, 22? My goal was Special Forces. So I knew that I can't fuck around here. Like this is a gate to the thing that I want to do, right? So if I come across as an asshole or a guy who's, you know, oh, fuck you, like you, whatever, that's gonna hinder me from my progress. But you're absolutely right, man. If I were doing it in my 30s and I didn't really want to, like, I had no idea, like, I'm already structured, I have my habits, etc. Yeah, whole different ballgame. But yeah, essentially, man, infantry school, it's the basics of being a warfighter, right? How do you start from individual, you know, physical fitness, right? They start ingraining that. It's a schedule. Every single day is virtually the same thing, give and take, you know, one or two events. But every single day you wake up in the morning, you PT. After PT, you eat. After that, you shower. After that, you go and train. You know, whatever the training of the day is.
Physical therapy?
Physical training. Yeah. So like working out, right? Whatever the workout of the day is. Sure. And it's structured in a way that it gets you to perform at the level that the U.S. Army, big U.S. Army, requires that you perform at. Okay? So
what type of PT are we talking? We're talking like
a lot of running.
A lot of running.
I can tell you right now, man, like the guys that are most successful in the Army.
Like I said, it's not for me.
Are the runners, man. They put a huge emphasis on running, man. Like, 100%, man, 100%. So that's infantry school for you generally, right? Then from there you go to airborne school. Airborne school is fucking badass. That's a lot of fun. Like, I mean, jumping out of planes is freaking terrifying, but it's a good time.
How long is it in between these?
It's immediate. It's pretty much immediate. So like for me, I graduated infantry school, and then I think the week after that I was
infantry school is what, like 8 weeks?
If I remember correctly, I believe it's 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. It's been a while. So yeah, it's like 6 to 8 weeks of just, you're just getting the shit beat out of you by these drill sergeants. But again, it's all in efforts to make you a basic combat soldier. Okay, how to work, how to individually move, how to move with a team, how to move with a platoon. Okay. From there, like I said, airborne school, that's a whole another 3 weeks there. And then after airborne school, that's where things get a little spicy, right? So that's when you go to Fort Bragg. Okay, so you pretty much take a bus from
R.I.P. Fort Bragg.
I know, yeah. What the fuck, man?
Fort Liberty now.
Yeah. Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a whole another fucking. I have my opinions on that, man. I think that's absolute bullshit that they're trying to like pretty much erase history, man. It's like it's some of the most Orwellian things that I've seen. It's just like, Fort Bragg, no, that's racist.
I mean, that's politics. I mean, politics is you know they want to act like they've done something when they haven't done something. But I think it's really callous when I last again these numbers may be wrong off the top of my head, but Christian can pull this up if I'm wrong. wrong. The by last I read, as much as 25% of all veterans are living at or below the poverty line.
Jesus.
And they just spent like $30 million on this Fort Bragg rename. They're rebranding Fort Bragg as a priority, as opposed to making sure that a quarter of the veterans are not living at or below the poverty line. I mean, it's
insane.
It's insanity, right? I mean, there's just no justification for that.
100%.
I mean, you could say Bragg was an evil, racist, Confederate, and I'll agree with you. Fine, whatever. But is it a priority right now? Is that something that maybe we can do after we get the veterans off the poverty line, and then we can like do
no,
the
I
rainbow
totally agree,
rebrand?
but it's not nice to brag. So,
so you're just looking at the numbers right here.
Yeah,
the numbers for veterans on or below the poverty line is lower than that. It's about 8.2% of them, compared to about 13% of the general population.
Well, thank you for that, Omri. Check the active duty as well. Maybe I saw 25%, and I want to be correct on this. I don't want to be spreading, false misinformation here, but I do know that it's a shockingly. I don't want to be doing false bad things that are good.
False misinformation is just true things.
I don't want to be saying truth on this stupid podcast. So you're.
From in active service, it's about 5%. I'm not saying that 25 on anything, really.
Okay. I'll try to find it. But maybe I just got lied to. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, the point is, whatever the poverty level is, the fact that anybody active or a veteran is at or below the poverty line while we're doing a $30 million rebrand on a
that's
basis.
Fucking retarded.
It's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Crazy.
And the fact of the matter is, man, like, I can't think of a single soldier that showed up to Fort Bragg and thought to themselves, wow, that's a racist fucking name. Like, no one looks at Fort Bragg and says that. So
it's pretty. Wow. It's also, we've talked about this before on the pod too. But you're going there to be trained how to murder people.
Yeah.
It's all.
Wait, what's the issue with why is Bragg considered racist?
He was a Confederate officer. Yeah. So it's look the.
Well, they did lose, right, Northern boys? Right? Fucking North, dog. Fucking North. We kicked their fucking asses. We kicked their asses. Fuck yes. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My family was in Ireland, but you guys did great.
So is mine, actually. Fuck. But we're from Jersey. You're from Boston. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Suck it, people from fucking Alabama. Suck it. That's right. That's right,
yeah,
people.
Enjoy your cheap houses.
That's right.
You can have a fucking huge house in Alabama.
People who fucking can trace their lineage back 200 years. Fuck you. Yeah. Should have learned how to fucking win an Antietam, asshole. Anyway, so you go to what was it, parajumping school?
Yeah, it's airborne school.
Airborne
school. Right. So that's still in Fort Benning, Georgia. Right. And from there, after you graduate airborne school, then that's a nice long bus ride over to Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. All right. So get there, and that's when shit gets real. That's the first time that you actually start seeing Green Berets, because they're your cadre. They're the guys that are in charge of you. And I distinctly remember, man, you get off the bus, a lot of guys will join just because they want to go to airborne school, or they realize, holy shit, I really don't want to do this. So the first question that they ask you, these Green Berets, they'll pull you out, they put you in formation. They're like, the first question they ask you is, how many of you guys want to quit right now? And immediately you get hands up.
Really?
Right there. The attrition rate starts as soon as you get off the bus.
Wow. So one of my favorite books that I actually read, like I actually put my eyes and let my eyes go back and forth.
Shit.
Usually I listen to books all the time, but Audible.
Gotcha.
Right? Was Lone Survivor.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
And they were saying like there's
Was
some
that
people.
Marcus Luttrell?
That was Marcus Luttrell. They made it into a movie with Mark Wahlberg.
That's right.
Like, I know it's cliche to say, but the book's better. You know what I mean? But there would be people who, instead of wanting to like ring that bell and quit, they would kill themselves because it would be the shame of quitting. Like they would kill them. They'd choose death instead.
Damn.
Wild, right?
Fucking nuts, man.
Wow.
It's fucking wild. I mean, that was definitely the case in fucking World War II when guys were trying to, if they couldn't get in for whatever reason. I mean, that was back when people actually wanted to join the military and actually do a thing. But like during those days, if you tried to get, I mean, motherfuckers were trying to get in when they were 16.
Yeah,
15 years old.
They forged their
Before they-
papers.
They would forge their papers just to get in. And that it's. I mean, sadly, that's certainly not the case anymore. I think that there is
not as much badasses.
There's a certain. I think there's a certain number in the population that still wants to do it, but I think that number has significantly dwindled over the span of time.
Well, that's speaking about books. That's a big plot line in All Is Quiet on the Western Front. Is the guy wants to. His friends have signed up for war, and his parents won't sign off because he's underage. So he forges his parents' signature, because he wants to be a part of the fight.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, he's on the front lines of World War I, and he's like, I fucked up. I did not sign up for this.
Yeah. Did you see the movie for All Quiet on the
Yeah, it was very good.
Phenomenal.
It's a very well done movie.
Phenomenal movie.
The book's better, but
Yes.
that movie is really, really very, very well done. I mean, actually, Mick had a great thing when we were watching it. And he was like, "Can you imagine if there was smell-o-vision for this? Can you imagine if you could smell some of those scenes? Like, oh my god, that would
crazy,
be
man.
that'd be next level."
And to think that in those days, I mean, the types of weaponry that they were using. I mean, you've shot some guns with us now, and we have one of the guns that we have there is the M1 Garand, 8 rounds. That's it, 8 rounds, one clip.
That's
fucking nuts to me.
That's
man.
insane. I mean, that's insane.
He loved going shooting with you, by the
Did he?
way.
That's
Well,
awesome.
shout out the
awesome,
spot.
man.
Is
No,
that your
absolutely,
spot?
guys. I mean, I don't own it, but I mean, I'm there with the guys. It's pretty much everybody there's veterans. So yeah, guys, if you guys want to check out Lock and Load Miami, I mean, phenomenal place. Certainly
Lock
check it
and
out.
Load Miami. All
Load
right.
Miami.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, shoot some
So you talk-
badass man. Oh, that's right.
He
there you
brought
go.
his thing. Yeah.
He taught me how to shoot a sniper rifle, bro.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the boog. I'm ready for the big
He's
boog.
been showing
now,
that
baby.
thing off
Hell
for
yeah.
like a month now.
Yeah,
bro.
every time he flexes on me, I'm like, keep fucking around. I'm gonna catch you from 200 yards, motherfucker. I'm gonna
That's
catch
a
you.
badass gun to shoot, man. That's a good time.
Dude, you know what? That was the first time in my life I ever shot fully automatic. That is insane.
Right?
That's like
That's wild, man.
I mean, I'm a pretty strong guy with a pretty solid base. That thing was like, dude.
Hey, it said it's not good to brag.
I'm not bragging. I'm literally saying I could not handle a fully automatic weapon. Like I couldn't do it. Like that was. Although the saw was pretty fucking badass.
The saw's awesome, man. I think it's fucking great.
If the big luau happened, I would want the saw. That's that's the one.
100%.
Yeah,
man.
that's
Just
yeah.
belt-fed automatic machine gun,
Oh
bro.
yeah,
Fuck yeah.
yeah. When the big luau happens, remember, fans of Slick and Thick, lead is gonna be worth more than gold. But you know what the golden rule is, Mick.
Lead is worth more than gold.
He who has the gold makes the rules.
Treat others how you want to be treated.
No, that's dumb. That's dumb.
That was the golden rule, though,
Yeah,
right?
that was the golden rule.
What's your golden rule?
He who has the gold makes the rules.
Ah, okay.
That's the real golden rule. And he who has the lead has the gold. But I digress.
Speaking of an awesome experience, so same way you were loving your shooting, I went scuba diving for the first time this weekend.
Hell yeah, man.
It's fucking awesome. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like seeing like
badass.
the bottom of the water. I think it was because I was by the reef,
Okay.
but it was like cliffs down there.
That's nuts, man.
Like it was like literally like being in a different world.
Dude, that is a one specialty school that I wish I would have had the opportunity to go to in special forces.
That'd be the SEALs.
No, so special forces, we have a specific school. It's called CDQC. It's a
CDQC.
Yeah, it's a combat diver qualification course. So
Okay.
that's essentially where you go learn how to do that, how to do, underwater infiltrations, right? Dude, it's fucking
Hell yeah.
next level.
Well, what's crazy is they said, I was watching this thing and they were like, the next battle, the next major war is going to happen in outer space and deep under the ocean.
Under the sea.
Yeah, it's going to happen like they're going to be cut. Who's going to cut whose pipelines? Who's going to go after whose communications? It's going to be all satellites, and it's going to be
100%,
like the underwater internet, man.
100%.
That's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Nuts,
Imagine like an underwater fucking like pew pew. It'd be like fucking Aquaman.
I remember going back to the Lone Survivor book.
Yeah.
That in the SEAL training you'd have to like get drowned.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you'd have to stay underwater until you would drown. They bring you up, resuscitate you. Bro.
So it's almost inevitable.
I've been choked out like in fighting and in like just like for fun and stuff. That sucks.
Dude, it's
Just for fun.
Like it kind of just to like kind of see what get passed out. But there's been a million times where I've been choked.
What
like,
you do?
especially-
What you do in the pleasure of your own time is none of our business, friend.
But like when I've been choked like since like for years to the point where I like tap at the last second and then you're staring at the ceiling like nothing makes sense, almost like a crazy head rush.
Right.
Kind of feels good actually, a little
pretty
euphoric.
wild, man.
But the drowning, that like stresses me out a little bit. Like that just seems.
that's a
You heard it
whole
here,
level,
folks. We get to 100,000 subscribers, and Mickey will get waterboarded live on air. Mickey,
I'll do it. But I just need you there or someone to make sure they, or maybe a pretty girl to resuscitate me if you got to do mouth to mouth.
no. You said him. You said him.
No, he's there, but not doing it. He's there to just, he's got my back.
I'm honored that I was your first choice. And a hot girl was second.
Your lips taste wicked good, bro.
Wicked good, bro.
I love the way you resuscitate me, kid. Fucking A. So you do your training, and then boom. You're out there. They throw you right into the shit out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Was this Operation Enduring Freedom? Were you out Enduring Freedom?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So you were the
was
surge?
It was under Freedom Sentinel. Correction.
Okay.
Yeah, Operation Freedom Sentinel. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we're there, man. It was ODA 1236. It's a phenomenal group of guys, man. By far, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with that team, and those guys are freaking phenomenal, man. And I mean, so one of the things that they tell you in the Q course, actually, this is before I got there, they were like, hey, some of you guys, all you're gonna have is the Q course. That's all you're gonna have. I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck no, what the fuck is the likelihood of that, man? And sure as fuck, man, I get assigned to first group. That was not my original choice. My original choice was to go to seventh group. But naturally, I met my wife, all right, so I had to make some changes. The only way that I can get and to actually stay with her was if I went to first group. So I was tease her about it, but I had to learn a different language just so I can go to first group. So I learned a new language just for my wife. Yep.
What language was that?
Korean.
Korean is your love language,
Yep,
huh?
that's it, brother.
Nice. Is your wife Korean?
Nope, she's not.
What the fuck?
I didn't see that coming. I was sure she was Korean.
No, man, nope. So the way that Special Forces groups work, man, so every Special Forces group has their own sort of area of operations, right? So first Special Forces group does PACOM, that's the Pacific Command. Seventh Special Forces group does Southcom. I know Spanish fluently. That was my thing. My goal was to go to seventh group and do that. I already knew Spanish, so I didn't have to take a new language in order to get there. My wife, the only place that she can get stationed was going to be in first group in that area, at least that base. So if I wanted to stay with her, I would have to go to JBLM.
So your wife's enlisted as well?
No, she's an officer. She's a sergeant.
Oh, an officer. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was 50-50. It was either going to be, she was either going to be Army or stripper if it was Fort Bragg.
Correct,
You had
correct,
50-50.
correct.
I didn't want to ask, but it was 50-50.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And I was assuming you
much.
didn't have to learn a second language for cheetahs.
Yeah.
But, I would.
Yeah, man.
I would. Dude, whatever it takes.
Fair enough, really.
Yeah. You already knew Spanish.
Gerard's a simp.
It's getting worse by the day. It's getting worse by the
What
day.
happened to this fucking country?
He won't jog. He won't get drowned. Learns a language for a stripper. Golly. Clean it up. Who raised this guy?
Our boy Christian's dating a stripper.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, right
no
here.
shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
We like to talk
that's
about
like-
it on almost every episode.
That's like almost a prerequisite for some of the guys in the military. Man.
You have to.
You'll see, you'll see a lot of shit.
She's learning the young boy up. You know
Hell
what
yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
Was that Was that Jacksonville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg? Where's Fort Bragg?
No, it's Fayetteville.
Fayetteville,
Yeah,
not Jacksonville.
Fayetteville. Yeah.
So Fayetteville, one of the worst places in America, and it's literally like a 7-Eleven, a Holiday Inn, a gun store, a pawn shop, a strip club, a gun store, a pawn shop, a liquor store, a strip club, and there's like
Sounds
signs.
like a Chris Rock joke.
It's like it's a Dave Chappelle, and there's like signs on the different strip clubs. There's like Army allowed, Army not allowed, bikers allowed, bikers not allowed. Like they're not allowed in the same strip clubs.
There's some strip clubs that are blacklisted in the military, man. Like if you go to Fort Bragg, there was a strip club called Sharky's. You are not allowed to go there, man. If they catch you there, you're fucked.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Just because of all the nefarious shenanigans that goes on there, man. Yep.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So there are
Sounds
definitely
like
strip clubs that are
Senior
blacklisted.
Frogs in Tijuana.
I feel like I want to go to Sharky's, right?
Let's go to Sharky's.
That was a great plug for Sharky's. Sharky's, yes.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna sponsor the
Maybe
podcast.
that's where we can have your 30K smoker that the guy wants to have with the 30 racks.
We can do it right here. Bring your fucking ass.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Just bring the money, bro. Like this dude comments on one of the things Mick's talking about beating up Bruce Lee, which is a physical.
I'd beat up Bruce Lee,
probability,
right?
Dude, I saw that video of you and it was fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Like you were like, I beat his fucking ass, dude.
Yeah.
But Be honest, he's a lot bigger than you thought he'd be in person, right? Like he doesn't look that big
100%.
on TV, and then you see him, you're like, oh, kind of a big guy. All right, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so they
But that's just fact. Like, and also, I know over 100 people who also would beat the shit out of Bruce Lee. Like, it's just, you know, the way the game's evolved. It's not like I'm saying I'm the fucking man. It's just facts.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it'd be like a pitcher playing today's game if there was 102 being like, yeah, I'd strike out, Babe Ruth. Yeah, you probably would.
probably
fucking
would.
throw 102 with a fucking splitter. Like, yeah. Like,
Never
we
seen
get
that
it.
type of shit before.
Yeah. So, but what's funny is like the stands want to come out and like, you know, they want to simp for Bruce, and they're like, I'll beat Mickey's ass 30 racks right now. And I saw that comment,
Bring
and
the
I was
money.
like, yeah, bro, you got to make this happen.
100%, bro.
No, but they're capping. They're not
At 30
serious.
racks?
They're not serious.
Your
They're not
terms
be
serious.
badass, though.
are
Yeah, of course.
acceptable.
I would
Easiest
do
30
it, yeah.
racks you make right there,
Yeah,
dude.
for real. I know, yeah. Do I need to have both arms tied behind my back or what? I will choke you out with my chin.
Do it in a jungle, and there has to be a gorilla in the ring as well.
All right.
shit.
I'll get the guy out of there, and I'll get out of there. I'll get out of there. Feed him to the gorilla.
Gorilla ain't got no money. Gorilla ain't got no money.
That would be the one animal that I don't think anybody could kick their ass. You know, fucking silverback
gorilla?
A silverback gorilla. Fucking.
There's so many animals nobody
be
can kick
so
their
hard.
ass.
No, I agree. I agree.
Like a baboon has claws.
Holy shit, man!
People have no concept how strong and fast
actually
these
reminds
things
me.
are.
But you know what I blame it on, man? This whole fucking Disney movie shenanigans, dude, where like all these animals are just looked at so like kindly and nicely, and you see all this bullshit like, just loving bears and fucking dude.
For sure.
They'll destroy you, bro.
What, if your dog turned on you tomorrow, you'd be in trouble, man. Like a
100%.
golden retriever will rip out your fucking jugular, dude. Like, come on. We
nuts,
don't
man.
have canines. Look, this is why we developed weaponry.
Yep.
Like we're not supposed to be, using our hands to combat nature. No, I don't even like the ocean. Like I don't even like being knee deep in the ocean. I'm like, all right, I'm out of my element. No, this is.
You're right.
As soon as I take 3 steps in the ocean, I'm like, I am no longer top of the food chain, and I'm very much aware of it. I am bottom of the food chain here. This is not a feeling I like.
You're absolutely right, man. And that's what we were talking about with the whole like combat dive and like how like you have to get drowned and whatnot. It's almost inevitable, man. So like one of my best friends that I was in the Q course with, and I actually ended up going to first group with, he got the privilege of going to combat dive school, and I saw this motherfucker training up for it, man. It's nuts, man. The training is freaking surreal, dude. This guy was like, running freaking 10, 12 miles on a treadmill, bro. Like on a treadmill. It's one thing to go out and run a 9.
Was his name David Goggins?
No, no, he was not. His name is Matt. So shout out to Matt if you see this, bro. But great guy, man. This motherfucker's running 9, 10, 12 miles on a freaking treadmill, doing all this crazy stuff. And before you even go to CDQC, you have to pretty much assess at your group because they don't want to pay and send you, and then you freaking fail, right?
Right.
So there's a whole pipeline that you have to do, a whole 2-3 weeks that you do. And then you go to CDQC. Man, he was telling me, man, like, he's like, dude, they blindfold you because once, like you were saying, once you're in the ocean, man, you're out of your element. Like,
Sure.
especially humans, you are out of your element, man. So they would, pretty much blindfold you, just black everything out. They take off your respirator and all that stuff. They just tie it up in knots behind you, and you have to stay calm, try to relax, get all that stuff squared away, and then get yourself back on oxygen. And inevitably, man, like you would have shallow water blackout. Like these guys would come, you have to come back up and let your instructor know, like, hey, I'm good. And as they're coming up, they forget to freaking breathe, and they're trying to let their instructor know, and all of a sudden they're just out, dude,
Done.
out.
Yeah.
So it's virtually inevitable, man.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts, man.
Yeah, I
Badass
remember
school,
seeing
man.
they'd bring you underwater. You'd have your breathing apparatus, and then they'd disconnect everything,
Yeah.
smack you over the head, get disoriented.
Yeah,
then you got to put this
it's
shit back
crazy, man.
together.
That shit is crazy. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got
Wow.
a picture right
Oh
here.
yeah,
I'm
this
gonna
is
show you
funny.
guys.
Right, pull this up. So look, right, first of all, read this. It goes, "Oh my God, I'm so glad they posted this because some people are meant to be wide and some small, and it's okay. Love yourself, queens and kings." Edit. Never mind. I think that's a gorilla. But still love yourself.
That's fucking
But
awesome.
pull
dude.
that picture back up.
Oh shit!
Look at the size. Look at just the size of the pelse
it's
of a
fucking
fucking
massive.
gorilla.
That,
Look at that. Look
that
at that
reminds
rib
me,
cage.
guys. Slick and Thick live
that's-
Thursday. That's a live Thursday show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Slick and Thick X-ray right there. That's what that is.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, me and Lizzo, only 2 people in the world really big boned. So the
Fucking Lizzo, man.
Fucking
This
Lizzo.
fucking viral meme that I fucking love, man. It was like, if Lizzo's so brave and beautiful, why do girls get mad when I call them Lizzo?
Yeah,
when I say that they look like Lizzo, I'm like,
Yeah,
you're absolutely
it's
right, man.
a Jeff Dye joke that Tim Pool claimed as his own.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
And then Gerard said it on the podcast.
Yeah, and then I was like, I
He
forgot.
immediately was like, "Oh shit! I didn't make that up. I
Yeah,
read
I was
somewhere."
like, no, I knew I didn't make it up, but I didn't get a chance to say who it was, and I was like, nah, delete that shit, get that out of here. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, but the funny thing about Lizzo too, I saw another meme that was like, how can somebody run around on stage that much and still be that big?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's fucking wild. She's doing serious work,
Cardio,
man.
That's what she's getting into cardio.
Yeah.
What do you think the diet is there? What
There's
do you,
there's some athletic big people, and some people just big.
Tell me about it. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what I hear. Anyway, Selkirk for pickleball. All your pickleball needs Selkirk. There's you play pickleball at all?
No, man. No, never have.
What are you, gay?
Nope, I don't think so.
I learned Korean from my wife.
Well, too bad. They'd re-enlist you with more.
Honestly, not the best. Like, oh, what are you, gay? You don't play pickleball?
What do you hunt
all the
humans?
things, yeah,
What do you
yeah.
hunt
He
humans
hunts
like
humans
a fag?
and teaches people how to shoot.
What do you hide out in the jungle and jump guys when they're not looking? Gay. you penetrate men.
Tell us about hunting humans.
Yeah, man.
It's fucking next level, man. I mean, it's a good time. It's a good time for sure.
Seems
So,
like the best time.
Yeah, it's
Like, for real,
It's
that
surreal.
seems like-
it's
yeah.
surreal, man. Because like, especially
You guys are fucked up.
Nah,
I'm just gonna throw it out there.
hell no.
You guys are fucked.
But there's a
The
reason why
ultimate-
you're doing
what's
it.
that?
right?
What's that book or movie? The Ultimate Game, the Ultimate Hunt, the Ultimate. There's like something like that.
The most dangerous game.
Most dangerous game.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy, he like takes people to his house, gives them dinner and stuff, and then is like, "Now I'm going to hunt you. I will give you I'll give you like an hour head start. Go ahead." And like they're on his land and shit, and he just goes out with his gun and yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild. I mean,
Yeah,
If homeless start going missing in San Francisco, just start looking over this way. Be like, here's $10. You have a 5-minute head start.
Jesus.
What?
yeah.
4 minutes 58 seconds. I don't understand what's going on. 4 minutes 55 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it.
Honestly, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
I'd probably watch that.
100%.
The homeless hunt. We can't like
sick.
actually kill him. But you could like bag and tag him, right? I mean, like
Tag and tag him.
I mean,
like
like-
BB gun him. Can you lasso him?
yeah, you put like a little like they do with the sharks, you know, and then release them back into
Yeah.
the
Fuck yeah,
into
I
the
like it.
wild. Is that yeah?
Can you tell us about that? Is there anything you
yeah,
can
I mean,
talk
there's
about?
certainly some stuff that I can talk about. What makes it so, I would say, like exhilarating is particularly the fact that there's so much that goes behind the scenes, right? So naturally, it's not just like the indiscriminate killing of human beings that we're doing. We're going after specific individuals for specific reasons.
Certain bad guys.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And I mean, there's just a plethora of assets that go in, from your intelligence assets to like your weaponry to close air support, all this other things, right? So, for example, let's say we were going to go hit an objective tomorrow, right? There'd be a whole week. Of,
Let's go. I'm down.
You're
Let's
fucking
do it.
down, dude?
Yeah,
Let's do it. All right. Let's do it, bro. Pick a spot. No, not actually. But, yeah, man, so
Talk
like,
off camera.
there you go. Oh shit. Yeah, man.
He's like, so let's say we're gonna go. Okay,
yeah,
I'm in.
you were down, dude. You were fucking
Yes.
ascended, dude.
Yes.
Please.
So let's say, tomorrow we're doing a hit. The whole week prior to that, man, would be planning specifically for that. Everything from just like your maneuver elements, like who's in what cell. So, as an ODA, you split up into 2 different cells, right? Who's in what cell? What assets we're going to have overhead, right? So are we going to have armed ISR? Are we going to have Apaches? Because sometimes even, for example, and this is the reason why all those things go into consideration, the Taliban would not want to fuck around when we had Apaches overhead. They would not want to fuck around. So we had to
Air
just-
cover, right?
Right,
The
right. Correct. The helicopters. And you can hear those motherfuckers because they fly relatively low. Like our airspace is broken up into different, pretty much stacks.
Okay.
And you have different types of aircrafts flying at different stacks.
Couldn't that kind of blow your cover a little bit if you're trying to sneak up on someone?
Correct.
Well, I would imagine it's a deterrent, right?
It's 100% a
that's kind of
deterrent.
the idea.
So
right?
typically,
Yeah.
we would have Apaches escort us. At a certain point, they would displace because we didn't want the Taliban to hear it. They knew that we were coming. Like, that's inevitable. They're going to know that we're fucking coming.
You guys are the boogeymen.
Pretty much, brother. Pretty much. It was a good time. Then, friggin' land, Chinooks land, and you get right out, boom. Which is that in and of itself is an experience, man. Like,
I bet it's a rush,
yeah, it's
huh?
fucking wild, man. Especially because a lot of the times we would do these helicopter insertions, it would be at night, right? Because we didn't want to get the freaking helicopter shot at with RPGs. So it is surreal, man. You're just sitting there, like with your gun, you have everything, you know, and you're just looking around you. You have your nods on, you know, pretty much it's like a white light, right? And you're just looking left and right, man. It's all these motherfuckers.
Nods, is that like night vision?
Optics. Yeah,
okay,
night
cool.
optics. Yeah. So you're looking left and right, dude, and it's all these fucking just soul reapers, bro. Just sitting there, fucking angry as shit with a dip, and they're just ready to fucking go.
Soul Reapers?
Yeah, dude.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Fuck yeah. That's my new nickname.
I like it.
Nicky the Soul Reaper.
Yeah, man, this fucking Chinook just like lands, and you get out of the fucking bird. Everybody kind of just, you know, nice little horseshoe pulling security, and then this fucking Chinook takes off, and then it's just utter silence, just straight silence, and you know you're fucking in it. That's it, dude. Like you're not getting back until that Chinook comes back to pick your ass up, right? So anyway, all those things go into consideration as you're planning your hit, right? The day before that, I mean, it's just that's all that's on your mind. That's all that's on your mind is like, okay, like I'm looking at the objective, I'm looking at these different things, I'm looking at my plans, I'm looking at, okay, for example, me specifically, I was a special forces medic, right? So I'm looking at, okay, this is where my my evac spot is going to be. Hey, if we take casualties, if we take this number of casualties, we have to go over here. If we take this number of casualties, we have to go over there. If we get hit while en route, this is where we're going to go. So you're planning all this stuff so that, you know, once you're there, you're not reacting. You've already kind of thought this stuff through, right?
Right.
That's all the planning that takes just to go after one guy and freaking smoke him, you know? So we get there. Sure as fuck, like I mentioned, just utter silence. And then that's when you start getting all your freaking intel from your UAVs and all that stuff. Hey, we got guys maneuvering in this area. Hey, we got guys maneuvering in that area. Now you're clearing house to house. Just, you know, you're stacking up, and primarily us, we would work with the Afghan partner force, which sometimes was sketchy, sometimes was cool as fuck. But you'd work with these Afghan partner force because the idea was that we would eventually leave them to do their own thing. Naturally, that was not the case, but that was the idea. So they would go in, they'd clear the house, and then we'd go in and kind of make sure that everything was clear after, right? All of this was just this, you know, progress, like house after house after house to try to find one guy, you know? And this is when the ISR came in clutch, man. And eventually, like, it's the
ISR.
That's correction. That's like your UAVs. Okay. Yeah, your aerial assets. That's when they would, you know, pretty much they're looking down, they're letting you know, hey, there's movement here, there's movement there. So you're kind of tracking because these motherfuckers, they know. I mean, we've been there for 20 years. They've been there for 20 years. Yeah. You know, they know exactly who we're after, what we're doing. So they're kind of bracing for dear life, you know? And once you start seeing that, you know, because you can, especially like our guys who are specifically in charge of talking with these assets, I mean, they start maneuvering our elements accordingly so that we can do what we need to do, right? And almost inevitably, man, in the morning after you hear that prayer call, you know, like you see it in the movies all the time, that little prayer call that they have in the Middle East there, almost inevitably we would immediately get shot at. So
really?
Yep. Be it from 50 meters, 100 meters, different distances depending on the unit, depending on where the guys are at. I mean, yeah, it's gnarly, and that's when it really gets started, man. And the freaking awesome thing about having that air superiority was exactly that. We would know where they are, where they're maneuvering. So I can distinctly remember the one time that we got into a pretty serious ambush. I remember I was walking down this like dirt trail, right? And I had my buddy next to me, phenomenal guy, man. His name's Alan, great dude. Him, my other buddy Jimmy, like he's like a Special Forces Yoda, man. He's the kind of guy that just like knows all things within the Special Forces community. And I was very lucky to be under those guys. So we're walking down this freaking dirt path, and my buddy Alan, he like looks over to me. He's deployed multiple times. He's worked with Delta Force. He's worked with all these other assets. And he tells me, he's like, hey, man, we're going to get hit. Like 100%, we're going to get hit. I'm like, oh shit. He's like, I'm like, how do you figure? He's like, dude, you do this enough times, like you get the freaking goosebumps, man. You get it. And sure as fuck, man, like not too long thereafter, just machine gun fire. You know, that's when it's like, oh shit, man, things just got real.
That's heavy.
Yeah. So we just jump behind this freaking burn.
Who was, sorry, forgive me, who was giving them these machine guns? Where were they getting these assets? I mean, because these are people who live in mud huts. And that's not, I'm not being derogatory. They literally, they make $10 a year. Where are they getting?
Oh, big Taliban is connected with big other networks and other neighboring countries. I mean, a lot of these guys would go to Pakistan.
China? Was this China? Was this an American and China proxy war? Was this Russia? What was?
It would not surprise me. It certainly would not surprise me.
Did you ever see any of those assets on the ground there? Or
I can tell you that there was one instance where I remember we have these guys, they're like our interpreters, and they're directly attached with these communications guys, right? So the American communications guy, he's in charge of just pretty much running around with a friggin' satellite trying to catch enemy communications. When they catch enemy communications, they pretty much tap it into the radio for the interpreter, he'll be like, hey, this is what they're saying, right? we've gone on multiple missions at this point, and every time our interpreters are like, yep, they're saying this, they're saying that, they're saying that, right? All of a sudden, we go into this one area where the CIA had been there not too long ago, and all of a sudden, our interpreter's like, I have no idea what language they're speaking. I don't know who this is. I don't know where they're from. That was the one time that our interpreter said something that I was like, what the fuck? Like, who the fuck is here? What countries are out here where, like, native Afghans don't know the language or can't translate it, have no idea who they are. That's when it gets sketchy. So what country specifically? I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, a lot of fingers and hands in there, but that one time in is, yeah, I have no idea, man. Freaking wild.
I got a question for you. How did you earn your Bronze Star?
Oh, so the Bronze Star specifically was given to me for operations while we were there, man. So ODAs, there was multiple ODAs throughout Afghanistan, right? And we're all operating, trying to conduct different things. And a lot of the things that we were trying to do at the time this was pretty much sort of like in the middle of the Trump administration. Our mission specifically was to pretty much kill as many Taliban as we possibly could.
Fuck yeah.
In order to bring them to the negotiating table. Because I don't know if you guys recall, but this was around the time where like Trump was trying to negotiate with them to try to figure out, you know, some way around this. This was the whole controversy when he brought some of the Taliban over to the United States, et cetera, et cetera. So that was our mission statement at that point. Like literally kill as many of these motherfuckers as you possibly can to force them to the negotiating table. And my ODA, like the operations that we conducted throughout the time in Afghanistan, that was what allowed us and pretty much put us on the spectrum for Big SOTF, the Special Operations Task Force, to award my ODA that Bronze Star. So,
nice.
That's really
a pretty cool mission. Just kill as many as you can.
And as a medic, you must have seen some pretty gruesome shit. Unfortunately, was it difficult for you to transition back?
That's got to be a versatile job, like going from
you're going
ready to shoot and then ready to
100%.
save, ready to shoot, ready to save.
I have pictures on my Instagram of my first real combat.
What's your
casualty.
Instagram? Let's people can check it out.
Chris Gray 0321.
Say it again.
Chris Gray 0321. Yeah.
GRAY.
GREY.
Okay, EY. Got it.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw our we had Devin Moultrie, friend of the program, great guy, the jiu-jitsu black belt.
I was going to ask about. I was literally thinking the same thing. So
he had a very difficult time transitioning back after his deployments.
Yeah.
You know, and now you were deployed. You were a medic. Was it difficult for you to transition back into civilian life?
It certainly was not easy, man. 100% it was not easy. I would say it was definitely very challenging. Primarily because, well, for one, in the military, it's structure. It's just a daily structure. You know what you're doing when you're doing it, and no day is the same, right? Which is, it almost sounds like an oxymoron because you have structure, but no day is the same. It's all structured, but your mission changes on a regular basis. You always have a new thing that you're going to do with your team, with whatever unit you're with, et cetera, et cetera. But the structure still remains, right? All of a sudden, you get out of the military, and you're like, what the fuck do I do with my hands? Like, there is no, like, hey, get up, it's fucking time for PT. Hey, get up, it's, freaking go there. It's, we're training on 240 Bravos. We're training on this, that, the other. Tomorrow we're doing horseback riding. Tomorrow we're, the next day we're
doing... a little shock to the system.
Oh, dude, 100%. Bro, when I got out, like, I distinctly remember I was there. I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like, the next day, I was like, what the fuck did I do? And that was the case for about a good solid couple months, man. Because I was like I've done this for 10 years. This is all I've known for the last 10 years, pretty much like from my late teens into my 20s. And you find yourself in this position where you're like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. And yeah, I mean, it's certainly challenging, man. Like, you start resorting to different vices, and that's where it gets really difficult, man. And the things that have helped me kind of stay sort of sane. Number one is working with the guys that I'm working with now. Like, those guys have been freaking phenomenal. They're all, like I said, they're all veterans. So like talking to those guys, hanging out with those guys,
you still have that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that community.
It's immediately relatable, man. Like,
talk about that a lot on this. Like that's it's big for people, mental health wise, any walk of life. Like having that community,
yeah,
that
connectivity.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, I feel like when I got out, I almost felt like I sort of lost a purpose. I was like, to what
you
am
had
I
a very
doing and
clearly
why?
defined purpose every day.
Yes.
You knew what you were doing and what the goal was.
100%.
And then you're kind of like, all right, now what? Yeah.
Now what?
Wow.
And so essentially I had to develop that, or sort of come up with a new purpose. And my passion has always been medicine, right? I love medicine. I love doing the whole operator stuff, but like that's why I wanted to be a medic, because the medicine aspect of it all is really like my allure. That's sort of what's always drawn me, man. And from doing rotations in Tampa General Hospital all the way to doing real no shit combat trauma and having all these patients and actually, seeing somebody who just came in with a gunshot wound and their freaking leg blown off, or gunshot wounds to the abdomen, and having to work with all these other surgeons to like literally open them up and find the bullets and sew them back up together. Like, it's next level, man. It's next level. And so I've always found that passion. And just kind of going back, the reason why I sort of alluded to the first combat casualty is because this day, that was the same day that we had the ambush, right? But we did a morning infill. We went in. We were split up in 2 different cells. One cell's clearing one side of a village. The other cell's clearing the other side of a village. All of a sudden, I'm doing my own thing with my partner force. Like, we're clearing a certain area. And, my buddy comes up on comms. He's like, hey, Delta 2, that's me. So that was my call sign, if you will. Hey, Delta 2, we need you in this building. I'm like, okay, got it. So I start walking over there. I'm like, he didn't sound particularly, serious. And he's like, no, Delta 2, if you don't mind, man, like, we really need you, like, fucking time now. So immediately I'm like, okay, there's some shit going on, right? Like, so I run in, and sure as fuck, there's a dude on the ground. And this was when I started realizing, even the smallest things is like, we train these Afghan partner forces to start doing a thing, and they're actually doing it, which is why, again, it was so disheartening to see everything just go to shit. But this partner force guy, he's like on top of this dude and just putting a tight tourniquet on his arm. I'm like, oh shit, okay, like what the fuck happened? Come to find out, this guy, the partner force was doing a breach entry with an explosive, right? They set up the explosive on the door. We're calling out. We're calling, hey, open the fucking door, open the fucking door. Nobody's opening the door. Boom. Blow the charge. Door blows open. This guy's standing right behind the goddamn door, right? He didn't say a goddamn word, man. Eats that freaking explosion, right? So he's just on the ground, just bleeding profusely from his arm. He has like lacerations to his chest, lacerations to his arms, like all over the place. So I come in.
Why didn't he say anything?
God knows why, dude. I don't know fucking why, bro. He should have. He's like, hey, God, fucking open the door, dude. Like, no, he just kept his mouth shut, just ate the breach. And so I started treating him, man. Like, the guy had already put a tourniquet on. I started getting IVs on him. I started doing my assessment. We have a, specific algorithm when you're doing your assessments, because you don't want to just go in there and just be like, oh, fucking, I'll start working on this one thing. So we have something called the March algorithm. That's essentially stands for massive hemorrhage. So I start looking for like where he's bleeding. Boom. From there, I go to his airway. I'm checking his airway, making sure that he's actually able to breathe. From there, I'm going to his respiration, making sure that he's actually perfusing oxygen throughout his body. Then you go into circulation. So that's when I'm, doing my peripheral assessments, trying to see like what his blood pressure is, trying to get that blood pressure up since he's already bleeding out, etc. And then I start dealing with hypothermia, because even in a hot place like Afghanistan, if you bleed out, sufficiently, you can go into a state of hypothermia.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yep, 100%. So I start doing my assessment. I start giving this guy some medication, some TXA, just different things to like help the guy out. And my officer, the guy in charge of our ODA, like he's like, relaying all this information. We're trying to get a medevac set up and everything. But that was the first time where I was like, holy shit, man, like this is fucking real. Like all the medical training, everything that we did beforehand, like this is crucial. Fucking real, and this is it right now. So we get this guy out of there, put him on a litter, start moving over. You can see the Black Hawk coming in to pick him up. Pick him up, take him over. So he's now with the forward surgical team. So they start doing surgery on him. They get him taken care of. They get him stabilized. And they send him over to Bath to get further treatment to make sure he's good. And then my other medic and I, we both ended up bringing this guy back out to pretty much to his house, and he was good to go. But it was the first time that I was actually able to see like, holy shit, from point of injury to this extensive care, and then you're back home. Like this shit works, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Save that guy's life, maybe.
I got a question for you. Going back to like kind of the mental health. Is there any type of like reacclimation program for soldiers coming home?
I wouldn't say there's so much of a reacclimation program. I will say that they've definitely taken the concept of mental health significantly more seriously in the military. They offer a lot of different things. So the assets are there. It's on you to actually go and pursue them. But what you're alluding to in this, pretty much reacclimating to society.
Yeah, civilian life.
Civilian life. There really isn't one, and it's almost. I'm sure that there's a way to do it. That's certainly a challenge for sure, because of how different military life is. It's like how do you even begin to acclimate a guy into civilian life?
Right.
Without,
I'd like to see these boys getting better taken care of.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And maybe if a couple soldiers, veterans were to kind of set up a program like that, I'd hope that the government would get behind that.
100%, man. And there are certainly different organizations that are out there. Like I said, they
remember
give you
the 22 does a lot of really great work. Remember the 22. I've done some charity stuff with them. They're really, really, really solid. But I mean, there's so many people.
Stop bragging.
It's not bragging.
kidding.
It's not bragging. That's not.
I'm fucking with you.
If anything, I'm not. Remember the 22 is definitely.
Gerard does a lot of charity.
Gerard does not. Gerard's a capitalist.
You bet you done a lot of charity, bro.
I've done some charity. Yeah, fat chicks. So the so speaking of
Shit's
things,
important. It's important to give back, man.
It is.
You can't
Very,
just
very,
take all the time. Shit.
very,
It's
very,
important
very.
to give back. Feels good.
Especially in some place where you feel like people are being let down. Like you said, like these guys, they deserve better.
Of course,
and Devin, Devin, I know, his
Devin opened my eyes to a lot of it, and like obviously I was aware, but like talking to him, talking to you, you know what I mean? It's like when it hits different too.
Yeah, and it's these politicians too, man. They're like, we have these resources available. Just go to the VA, and it's like, yeah, but then somebody has to see a new doctor every single time.
And they got to relive that trauma.
I saw that.
Talk
That was
about that thing.
horrible, man.
Like
Yeah, and these guys, they just want to feel normal again. And the thing that strikes me as I've gotten older, like you said, you were 22 years old. Like I look at an 18-year-old now, and I'm like, fuck, man. I can't believe we send these kids off to war. Like I see an 18. First of all, I'm like, I don't think there's an 18-year-old on earth that can kick the shit out of me. So should we really be sending those 18-year-olds? Second of all, it's like, man, that's young, dude. Man, that's young. That is a young thing to be sending people, out there to enact global policy. You have 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old politicians, rich fucking lawyers, sending 18-year-old kids to go enact their policy.
Yep.
That's fucked up.
I agree.
It's a fuck. And I love veterans. I've never met a single one where I wasn't like, man, you are a squared away, impressive dude. I got so much respect for you guys. But I just don't think we should have been in Afghanistan. I don't think we should be doing the things that we're doing. What's happening in Ukraine, I think, is an atrocity.
That's absurd.
And
what are your thoughts?
Man, Ukraine's complex, man. Number one, it's definitely a proxy war, 100% a proxy war. Like the number of like American assets that are actually there, obviously, behind or, 2 or 3 degrees of separation away.
No, we're on the ground now.
I mean, there's no like U.S. soldiers with American flags on them, like no shit.
We're doing what France did in the American Revolution. We're training all their guys. They're using all of our equipment.
100%.
It's almost worse.
Yeah.
It's almost worse because it's like, okay, you little Ukrainian, go out there now. Go.
Yep.
And
the fact of the matter is, my understanding, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like NATO was not supposed to expand the way that it's expanding now. And so it does not surprise me that somebody like Putin would be like, you know what, get fucked. Like I'm going to do my thing because I'm going to make sure that that the lines that we've drawn in the sand are abided by.
No doubt about it. And there's this idea that there always has to be a good guy and a bad guy in war.
Yep.
They're like, there's always a good guy and a bad guy. Anybody who's studied history extensively knows that most wars are fought between bad people. World War I, what we talked about before, that was a family dispute. Those were 3 fucking cousins that couldn't figure out how to share Europe fairly. Those were 3 cousins. The German Kaiser, the King of England, and the Russian Tsar were fucking cousins. They would summer together, and they killed millions of people because they
summering together is such a bougie term. I would summer in France.
Yeah, and because of how fucking ridiculous,
I summer down to Jersey Show.
Yeah, LBI. Because of how ridiculously callous their approach to life was, they gave birth to the extremism of communism and stuff like that because they got rid of the aristocracy. Then you fast forward 30 years later, and you're looking at all of these revolutions throughout, or the civil wars throughout Europe. You look at the Spanish Civil War. It's a fascist and a communist. Those are the 2 sides. Whoever wins, the people lose. Yeah. Right? So those are 2 extreme sides. So like this idea that Putin's a bad guy and Zelensky's a good guy. Dude, they can very easily both be bad guys. And
100%.
Putin waited until we had an 80-year-old in office to be like, yeah, I'm going to start pushing some buttons. I mean, and
Ukraine is unbelievably corrupt.
Do you think, to be very specific, and this is just speculation, do you think that Putin pushes into Ukraine if we don't leave Afghanistan the way we left?
I think it certainly emboldened him. I think it absolutely emboldened him. And I think people like Xi Jinping are also going to be significantly more emboldened to take Taiwan. And I think it starts from the top, Inevitably, these guys are all in conversation. I mean, Joe Biden, I'm sure, is in conversation with Putin. I'm sure he's in conversation with all these other individuals. And to see the just atrocity that it was to have Afghans falling off freaking planes.
Yeah, that was
man.
harsh.
Afghans falling off.
What did you think about the?
Dude,
it's
that
a
was-
retreat, right? So I mean, what did you think about it? You had literally.
Wait, you're talking about the Afghanistan one?
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on, I'm supposed to do a couple jiu-jitsu seminars and MMA seminars in Taiwan. What's the timeline? What's the timeline before I won't be able to come back?
Better get out there quick.
If I were a betting man, I would say no later than like end of next year.
All right.
By the end of next year, dude. I think that's really when.
But we're looking at October.
Oh, I
Am I cutting it a little close?
I disagree.
You think it's sooner?
I think they go in before the election because they want Biden to
Shucks.
extend. Yeah, if I were a betting man, and I don't know shit about shit, but if I was putting the
Might try and move that up.
if I was reading the tea, I would say by summer of 24.
I mean, that would
Oh,
certainly.
summer 24?
Summer of 24.
So a whole... I got time.
1 year.
I
1
got
year.
time. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about October.
Yeah, ooh, that's gonna be close. October
It's a year
October
away.
of this year.
Yeah, fool.
I think you're good.
2023.
No, you're good. Yeah,
I think you're
this year, I
good.
think you're good.
I think you're good.
No,
October.
for sure.
So
See y'all in Taiwan, baby.
gonna learn. Y'all want to learn
I'm
how
going
to
to teach y'all
hunt?
some shit. Yeah.
I got a feeling y'all gonna need this.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Come to Mickey Gall's human hunting experiment.
To bring Christian out.
Yeah.
Make a little,
Yeah.
Yeah, so some
This
arms
is,
training.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Lot of running. Lot of running here, guys. Lot of running. Yeah, PT's at 6. So you're home. You won a bronze star in Afghanistan. You're a literal war hero, man. And now you're home and you see the way your country and your military leaves Afghanistan. What are your thoughts?
The first part was just utter shock. You're just like, did this really just fucking happen? Like, is this real? Am I actually like living this right now? Just having just been there. Not to mention the fact, the number of assets that we left there, the amount of money, the amount of equipment, the amount of stuff that we left there, and beyond that, just the quality of individuals and people that we left out there just for the Taliban to then come in and just wreak havoc on them, just murder them like out in the street like fucking dogs. It was just like nuts, man. Like I just recently saw a movie, The Covenant. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie yet.
No, Guy Ritchie, though. I do love Guy Ritchie.
Yeah,
Loves Guy
phenomenal-
Ritchie.
Guy
phenomenal
Ritchie?
movie, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
British Tarantino?
British Tarantino, yeah.
I love Guy Ritchie,
man.
yeah. So, yeah, that must have made you feel like a lot of that hard work and all the work you did was for naught. Like,
Yes.
the way they just fucking...
And on top of that, right, it's
We turned the Taliban into a top 20 military overnight.
100%. I mean, our superiority was the ability to fight at night. Right, that we own the night. That's a very common saying in the military. Like we own the night.
Viking shit.
All right,
Ben Affleck movie.
dude. Fucking, we left night optics like a motherfucker. Lasers, IR lasers, like all that stuff is there. So it's you immediately just castrated the entire military force that was there. Like you took every aspect of superiority that we had, and we just gave it right to them.
And that's how I felt watching it. So I could only imagine how you felt.
And what was even more heartbreaking for me specifically was having buddies of mine that have been there for decades. I was a very junior guy going into this, and it bothered me to my core. I can't even imagine guys that have been there from like 2005, and they're still serving and are still grinding and are still getting after it. The type of connections that these guys have made with, some of the people in Afghanistan. And I remember when that happened, I posted, some pictures. I was like, dude, this is fucked up. Like, I was working with guys like this, that, the other. And I had a buddy, same guy, Jimmy, man, the SF Yoda. He hit me up and he told me a very true thing. He's like, hey, bro, my recommendation would be, for the time being, just take those pictures down, because right now, like, the Taliban are actively looking for these guys, and they're actively looking for these faces specifically to go after them. And it was a moment of realization. I was like, holy shit, man! Like, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like essentially, he said, like, give them a chance. I'm like, the fact that this is where we're at right now, like.
And there was stories of vets going rogue, going back in and saving their guys, going in and one of them was an MMA fighter, I think.
Tim Kennedy?
Tim Kennedy,
Tim
yeah.
Kennedy,
Tim
that's
Kennedy
right,
went out
Tim
there.
Kennedy.
Yep.
And I mean, it was callous. It was like a callous disregard for everything about it was just. I mean, and again, you can know nothing about military history. You can know nothing about tactics, and you say, man, you don't secure the points of ingress or egress first.
Yeah.
You don't secure the airports. Like it just doesn't make any sense. You don't. I mean, you could play Grand Theft Auto for 5 minutes and be like, no, you need a way to get out. Like you secure the door. I mean, like every bar in the world has security in one place, the door. Like, what's the deal here? I get very frustrated with this administration specifically because they keep doing stupid shit. And then when smart people do dumb stuff over and over, you have one of two choices. Either they're not that smart or they're doing it on purpose.
That's right.
And now, which is worse, really? And then I say to myself, we talked about this a little bit and we kind of skated on it. We're in a situation where if Taiwan escalates, all right, now you have a military that has not hit its recruitment goals for 5 years running.
Yeah.
We have a deficit. We're not paying our bills. We're not hitting our recruitment goals. And now we don't have the capacity to fight a war on two fronts in Europe and in Asia. They can push our buttons in any direction they want, and we really don't have the capacity to stop them. From the outside looking in, I don't know, but from the numbers on the spreadsheet do not look right. You're saying, why are we pushing this? And then you start thinking, like, the only way that they can do it and actually secure their policy goals is to enact a draft.
Yep.
And I got to tell you right here on air, if there's a draft, your boy ain't going. I love America. I have a tattooed on my arm. I love this place to death. I would die. If anybody came to our shores, I would die to defend it. But my fat ass is not dying for Kiev. I'm not dying in Taiwan.
I hear you, dude.
I'm not dying for BlackRock or Halliburton to secure a new fucking marketplace. And I don't think any fucking 18-year-old, nobody's son or daughter, now that they're eligible for the fucking draft, should either.
I agree.
I mean,
I will say that there's an argument to be made that the fact that we have an all-volunteer force certainly plays a role into why we are somehow engaging in these forever wars. I read a good book. It's called Warrior Diplomat. It's by Green Barret, who also worked in Washington, D.C. He kind of had both sort of perspectives, both the policy perspective and the actual boots on the ground perspective. And it's not necessarily the premise of the book, but like what he argues is exactly that. Is like when we created an all-volunteer force, what we created were military careerists. And all of a sudden now you're in there, like these guys come in, they're second lieutenants, and they want to become generals. And all you have to do is cater and kowtow to whatever the administration of the time tells you. Whereas if you had a draft, then the entire purpose of these individuals is let's end this fucking war time now and do anything and everything that we could to make sure that is in as short amount of time possible, so that we can get back to our families, so we can get back to our day-to-day lives. And that's also what makes a lot of these current day officers significantly more risk averse, because it doesn't look good when you have your officer evaluation report saying, hey, I lost this many guys, but sometimes maybe that's what's necessary in order to achieve the mission, right? So it becomes significantly more convoluted, and frankly why I think that in all volunteer
flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's it, man. Mick, you got anything before we head out?
Nah, man. Thanks for sharing that shit with us. Cool ass dude. Come back anytime.
Christian, man, we cannot thank you enough.
I gotta come down there and learn some of your
stuff.
Swing by whenever you want.
Yeah, we got to shoot some pews, baby.
Let's do it, bro. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. For everybody, one more time, Christian, tell them where they can find you, man.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Chris Gray 0321. You guys are by all means more than welcome to follow me on there. Check out Lock and Load Miami. If you guys want to do some shooting with me, you're more than welcome to stop by whenever you guys want. It'd be a lot of fun, guys.
Check out the El Jefe.
CHRISGREY.
Correct.
What were the numbers?
0321.
0321.
Awesome, man.
Follow our boy.
This was fantastic. See us live this Thursday. Slick and Thick, the first ever live audience show at the Stress Factory, Thursday night, 7 p.m.
have nowhere better to be.
You have nowhere.
It will be the best time. We put a lot of work into this thing, and if it's not an absolute party and blast, I will do harikari on the stage. I will cut out my guts.
Better than ringing the bell. I am Gerard Michaels. That is the great one, Mickey Gall. This has been bronze medal winning war hero Christian Gray. This is Slick and Thick. Enjoy the rest of Gas Digital. We will see you on Friday. Peace.
Peace.